It's just everyone else who doesn't really appreciate the whole CMST, balding, everything, clear and good.
So,
A little bit of outsider spirit.
what gigs this week do you think would be under the sort of the Hobart Music Week idea rather than amplified, really?
I think most except for this stuff that haven't gotten $10,000 in grant money.
Yeah.
Pretty much, even the little youth arc all ages show, which has a bunch of bands, good and bad. Even that's helpful. It's doing an all ages show, and it's not taking heaps of money for no reason.
This is the poster for the Youth Arc gig. This event was a nation of contrasts. There was Treehouse, who didn't say a single word to the audience for their entire set. And then there was Ben Wells, who really got the audience quite enthusiastic.
With Amplified is that if you're going to be supporting Tasmanian music in any realistic way, then it should be some level of support all year round. And one of the major problems I've had with Amplified in the past is the amount of money that they concentrate on one week, and it goes back to my point about who's actually involved in it and how representative it is. The people who are actually on the ground making Tasmanian music and gigging regularly and going to gigs regularly and putting shows on regularly aren't actually benefiting all that much from it. I don't feel like as a musician in Hobart I've had any benefit from Amplified whatsoever. In fact, I'd probably say the opposite, that I've actually been negatively affected by it so far. So I'm not convinced that it is the right way to go about things, but at the same time the media coverage that it gives Tasmanian music is perhaps a positive, or an annual reminder that Tasmanian music is existing is perhaps good. I think if you could raise the profile of it overall through providing more support, then you'd end up with better outcomes. And probably more money to put stuff on in the future.
Yeah. It's the central focus for the gigs is sort of the one fine weekend, and then the bands that play all the time throughout the year are having their own festival. This organised by Tiger Choir, the Broken Social
Thylascene. Yeah, I think that's really great that they've done that.
The Broken Social Thylascene gig included Love of Diagrams, Ivy Street, Tiger Choir, The Native Cats, Anthony Rochester, Manchester Mourning, and a synth war between Chaz DeCane and Carl Higgs. And here's Tiger Choir, who organised it.
But yeah, in terms of Broken Social Thylascene, I guess it just shows you the state that the scene is in is actually quite different to what is being purported to
in the one fine day weekend.
Yeah, the one fine weekend or whatever it's called. I looked at the lineup for that and pretty much dismissed it immediately. I don't know who was on the lineup for it because none of the bands that were on it I've ever seen at a gig, probably, or at least very few of them. And that's partly because I wouldn't go to see those bands. It's only a small part of the music scene that I probably see. But I just think that it's only that part that they're showing that is actually getting any benefit from Amplified.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, a wider, broader approach over a longer period of time would be more beneficial to everyone rather than just a particular couple of bands that happen to have connections. Broken Social Thylascene thing, there's, I think, probably an argument that itself is exclusive, But the thing is, it's not being run by a government-funded agency it purports to be supporting the entire music scene. So maybe it is a bit exclusive in terms of which bands are represented, but it's basically a group of bands that are friends playing together because there's no other avenue for them to, get any sort of publicity through meaningful publicity through the scene. I think one of the main problems as a local musician is that you can't get any sort of crossover from being someone who's just playing to the same crowds and people who actually start coming to gigs to see, you or local music or whatever. And maybe they do during the Amplified week, but what they see isn't Tasmanian music.
And so, Amplified was over for another year, and everything returned to normal. The alternative bands continued to play gigs regularly, and CMST won't be heard from again until next year's Amplified.
Well, it's a holiday.